She wasn't just mean, she was a psychological weapon. Most people think Regina George was powerful because she was pretty and popular. They're completely wrong. I analyzed 15 years of social psychology research on dominance and influence, and what I discovered will shatter everything you think you know about power. Regina George understood strategic psychology better than most trained professionals. While her classmates were playing high school games, she was weaponizing principles that behavioral scientists spend decades studying. The research is shocking. Regina's power came from three psychological frameworks: social dominance theory, fear based compliance, and information control. She intuitively grasped what most people never learn: that sustainable influence has nothing to do with being liked. Studies prove that true power comes from being strategically feared and respected, not loved. Regina knew this at 17. She built a psychological empire using tactics that mirror what we see in boardrooms and political arenas. Here's the uncomfortable truth: Regina was right about human nature, and the principles she used, when applied ethically, they can transform how you navigate every social situation in your life. This isn't pop culture analysis. This is strategic psychology decoded. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological framework behind real influence and how to use it without becoming the villain. Regina George cracked the code on human psychology. Today, we're breaking down exactly how she did it. In 1999, social psychologists Jim Sedanius and Felicia Prato published groundbreaking research on social dominance theory that explains exactly why Regina's approach was so devastatingly effective. Their studies revealed that all human societies organize themselves into hierarchies, and those who understand how to establish and maintain dominance will always rise to the top. Here's the key finding: sustainable power doesn't come from aggression or cruelty. It comes from strategic behavior that establishes your position in the social hierarchy while making others accept that position as legitimate. Regina didn't just bully people randomly. She used calculated psychological tactics that made her dominance feel natural and inevitable. The research shows three critical elements of social dominance: hierarchy maintenance, strategic alliance building, and psychological leverage. Regina mastered all three before she turned 18. She didn't stumble into power. She systematically constructed it using principles that Fortune 500 CEOs pay consultants millions to understand. What makes this even more fascinating is that Regina's behavior mirrors what researchers call benevolent dominance. She made people feel special when she included them, which made her rejection even more psychologically devastating. This isn't accidental cruelty. This is strategic psychology at its most sophisticated level. Principle 1: strategic fear over shallow likability. Here's where Regina was genuinely brilliant. While everyone else was desperately trying to be liked, she understood a fundamental truth about human psychology. Fear creates compliance, respect creates loyalty, but likability creates neither. Research from Harvard Business School confirms this. Studies on leadership effectiveness show that leaders who are feared and respected maintain influence far longer than those who are simply well-liked. Why? Because being liked is conditional and temporary. Being strategically feared is sustainable. Regina's burn book wasn't just teenage meanness. It was psychological warfare. She understood that information control equals social control. By documenting everyone's secrets and insecurities, she created a system where everyone had something to lose. This generated what psychologists call anticipatory compliance. People modified their behavior around her, not because of what she was doing, but because of what she could do. The genius of this approach is that she rarely had to use the information. The knowledge that she had it was enough to maintain her position. This is exactly how intelligence agencies and corporate power structures operate. The threat of exposure is often more powerful than exposure itself. Most people try to build relationships through kindness and accommodation. Regina built control through strategic vulnerability management. She made herself indispensable by making everyone else feel replaceable. Principle 2: information control and social currency. Regina understood something that most people never grasp. In social environments, information isn't just power, it's currency. And like any currency, its value depends on scarcity and strategic distribution. Psychological research on information asymmetry shows that people who control the flow of information automatically gain influence over those who don't. Regina weaponized this by becoming the central hub of social intelligence. She didn't just collect gossip, she curated and distributed it strategically to maintain her position. Watch how she operates. She gives different pieces of information to different people, creating a web of dependencies where everyone needs her to understand the full picture. This is sophisticated psychological manipulation that requires understanding human curiosity, insecurity, and social positioning. The Burn Book represents the ultimate expression of this principle. It's not just a collection of mean comments, it's a psychological database that maps everyone's vulnerabilities and social connections. Regina could predict and control behavior because she understood the hidden motivations driving everyone around her. Modern research on social network analysis proves Regina's instincts were correct. The person who sits at the center of information flow automatically becomes the most influential member of any group. Regina didn't just happen to be popular. She engineered her own centrality through strategic information control. This principle explains why she remained powerful even when people actively disliked her. She had made herself too valuable to exclude from the social ecosystem. Principle 3. Manufactured scarcity and exclusivity. Regina's most sophisticated psychological tactic was turning her attention into the most valuable currency in school. She understood scarcity psychology better than most marketing professionals. Research from behavioral economics shows that humans place higher value on things that are rare or difficult to obtain. Regina weaponized this by making her approval artificially scarce. She didn't give everyone equal access to her attention. She created a hierarchy of access that made people compete for her favor. The plastic table isn't just about exclusivity, it's about creating visible social stratification. Everyone could see who had access to Regina and who didn't. This visual representation of social hierarchy triggered what psychologists call status anxiety in everyone who wasn't included. But here's the genius part. She occasionally let new people in and occasionally excluded current members. This unpredictability created what behavioral scientists call intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive form of psychological conditioning. People became obsessed with maintaining their position because they never knew when it might be revoked. Regina understood that the fear of social death is often stronger than the desire for social acceptance. By making her rejection psychologically devastating, she made her acceptance incredibly valuable. This isn't just high school politics. It's the same psychology used in luxury branding, exclusive clubs, and elite institutions. She created artificial scarcity around something abundant, human attention, and turned it into social gold. Now that you understand the psychology, here's how to apply Regina's strategic principles ethically. First, stop trying to be liked by everyone. Focus on building genuine respect through consistent boundaries and reliable competence. Make your standards clear and maintain them without exception. Second, become strategically selective with your time and attention. Don't be available to everyone all the time. Create natural scarcity around your energy by prioritizing people and situations that align with your goals. This isn't manipulation, it's strategic resource management. Third, control information flow intelligently. You don't need a burn book, but you do need to understand that knowledge is power. Listen more than you speak, observe social dynamics, and use what you learn to navigate situations more effectively. The goal isn't to become Regina George, it's to understand the psychological principles she used and apply them to build genuine influence and respect in your own life. Strategic superiority positioning. Most people will never understand this level of strategic psychology. You now have insights into human behavior that put you ahead of 99% of people who still think influence comes from being nice. This is Psychology Said So, where we decode the psychology behind power and influence. If you want more breakdowns of strategic psychology and pop culture, let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay psychologically aware.